On July 19th, 1977, the world teacher, the Christ Maitreya, head of the spiritual hierarchy, emerged from his ancient retreat and is now in the modern world. With his disciples, the masters of the wisdom, he will inaugurate the new age of synthesis and brotherhood.
Good morning and welcome to our World Teacher Programme on Wellington's Access Radio 106.1 FM, presented by Teresa and David on behalf of Share International New Zealand.
Today we've found a couple of articles from previous editions of Share International magazine, which are relevant to today's troubled times. We believe both of them provide a message of hope. The first contains a few unfamiliar names which we're not sure how to pronounce, so bear with us as we stumble through them. It's titled Ancient Prophecies for Modern Times by Bette Stockbauer and begins,
Although history has depicted native cultures as primitive and sometimes barbaric, in our own day a much richer picture is emerging. French author Pierre Honore minutely examined the original journals of the conquerors. There he found records of what they encountered in the New World. Huge cities with urban populations well versed in the arts and sciences, following finely ordered systems of law.
Archaeological excavations of modern times have verified these accounts, unearthing sophisticated cities and pyramids that rival those of Egypt. Most importantly, the native peoples themselves are stepping forward, revealing traditions and sacred knowledge they took underground 500 years ago when the conquerors came. They speak now because they understand the import of the present times.
Their sacred sciences tell them the world is at a turning point, that its choices today will determine the future course of civilization. Their prophecies have instructed them to travel out into the world and tell us of the dangers we face.
These voices are important for us to hear because they speak from hearts that have tried to remain true to their sacred teachings, to live in the way of brotherhood and simplicity, establishing harmony with one another and with all living things.
This is what they say. We are entering a time of purification and can expect to witness chaos and destruction in all the kingdoms of nature. It is a time for the reuniting of the races. Barriers of religion and nationality will begin to fall as all people realize their essential unity. We must heal the damage done to Mother Earth, the source of life, and recognize that all living things are endowed with spirit. In the coming times we will see the return of one or more great teachers who will guide us into the future.
In his book, The Return of the Pahana, Robert Boissier discusses the widely held belief among native peoples in the imminent return of a saviour figure, and claims that it in no way differs from the Christian belief in a second coming.
In the legendary history of many tribes, there is a story of a teacher similar to Jesus who taught the spiritual mysteries and an ethical way of life. When he left, they say, he promised to return at a time when the earth would be in great turmoil to guide humanity into the future. He is best known by the names of Quetzalcoatl and Kukulkan.
Thomas Banyakia has travelled the world for almost 50 years speaking about the prophecies of his tribe, the Hopi. For centuries, the Hopi have lived in one of the harshest environments of the US, perched on a desert mesa in Arizona. Their ancestors chose such a place to settle because they knew it would keep their people close to the Creator. They continually reaffirmed their reliance on God by an annual series of rituals, asking the spirits to supply their every need.
In 1948, a group of Hopi elders accepted the task of warning the world of the events that the Hopi prophecies foretold. The prophecies themselves instructed them to approach the UN. It took 44 years of effort, but in 1992 they were finally permitted to address the General Assembly, as reported in Share International December 93.
This beginning led to another gathering at the UN in 1993 called the Cry of the Earth Conference, when leaders from 7 nations released their prophecies.
Hopi prophecies speak of the return of Pahana, their true white brother, who left them in ancient times, promising to return. They wear their hair in bangs to form a window, they say, by which to see their elder brother when he returns. It is also an identifying mark for the elder brother to recognize them.
Black Elk and Crazy Horse were leaders of the Lakota Sioux in the late 1800s, a period which saw in the US the decimation of many native groups. Each had a vision of the future. Black Elk saw that his people would be plagued by famine and sickness and war. They would lose heart, and the sacred hoop of his nation would be broken.
But he saw a vision of his own nation being reunited after 7 generations and becoming part of the greater hoop of all the nations of the earth. He saw the daybreak star rising in the east, and heard a voice that said, "It shall be a relative to them, and who shall see it shall see much more. For from there comes wisdom, and those who do not see it shall be dark." Black Elk thought this meant that a great prophet from the east would bring a message to his people.
Crazy Horse's vision foretold the darkness that descended on his people. He saw the coming of automobiles and aeroplanes and the tragic world wars of the modern era. He saw his people gradually awakening after the last war and beginning to dance again under the sacred tree. Then, amazingly, he saw that dancing along with his people were representatives of all the races who had become brothers. Thus he foresaw that the world would be made whole again, not just by his own nation, but by all peoples working together.
Among the Lakota, the Crow, the Chippewa, and other Native American tribes, the white buffalo is one of the most sacred symbols. It represents purity, sacrifice, and a sign that prophecy is being fulfilled. The Messiah honoured by the Lakota Sioux is the white buffalo calf woman who bought the sacred pipe and established the foundation of their ritual and social life.
When she left, she turned into a white buffalo and promised someday to return. In 1994, a white buffalo calf was born in Wisconsin. In 1996, another was born in South Dakota. For the native peoples, these births have been assigned to mend the hoop of the nations, to establish brotherhood within the family of man, and return to a spiritual way of life.
Jake Swamp of the Mohawk Nation tells of the peacemaker Deganawida, who unified the tribes of the Iroquois Confederacy. The peacemaker foresaw the turmoil and destruction that would destroy the lives and culture of the Confederacy tribes. But he also saw a time beyond when there would come a great prophet who would be a world uniter. He would come in the same spirit as other prophets before him, but would renew the spirit of man in a way more worldwide and all-embracing than ever before in history.
In 1969, the elders of Diani Yawu Salagi Cherokee group decided to release teachings that have been kept in secret since the conquest. Through books, lectures and workshops, Diani Yawu is disseminating that knowledge. She claims that her own Yawu lineage was founded by a legendary prophet called the Pale One, who rekindled the sacred fires throughout the Americas.
She says the Pale One is a psychically incarnating being. He comes when the people have forgotten their sacred ways, bringing reminders of the law, recalling all to right relationship. He is expected soon again, and he may be alive even now. It is good.
Among the Australian Aboriginals, it is believed that each tribe has a responsibility to take care of one part of the environment. They believe that underground minerals are a vital part of the Earth's energy grid and are greatly concerned about the excessive mining in modern times, particularly of uranium.
In 1975, the elders met in Canberra, drawing together over 350 Aboriginal people. They gave a warning of cataclysms to come and told the people to go out and teach their knowledge to the world, to prepare it for a future time when we would go back to our beginnings, when all cultures will exist as one.
The Waitaha Nation claims the most ancient lineage in New Zealand. When the nation was broken up by warriors from the Pacific, the elders concealed 1,000 years of their generational history and wisdom teachings, passing the knowledge on only through a tiny number of people in each generation.
In 1990, the elders saw in the heavens a configuration that was a sign for them to release their sacred knowledge. A book, The Song of Waitaha, by Barry Brailsford, contains these teachings. In their language, Wai means water and Taha means gourd, implying the idea of a water carrier, the sign of Aquarius.
The Kogi are a pre-Columbian tribe who live in an isolated existence in the Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta in Colombia. They are one of the few who escaped the destruction of the Europeans and still live their lives in accordance with their ancient spiritual heritage.
Alarmed by the excessive mining and deforestation of modern times, in 1990, for the one and only time, they allowed a BBC television film crew to visit them and document their lives. Calling themselves the Elder Brothers, they wished to issue an urgent warning to the younger brothers.
High in their mountain lands, they see that the earth is drying up. The sources of water that should give sustenance to the plains below are no longer vital. They warn us that the earth is dying, and when the earth dies, we will all die.
Wilaru Huata grew up in the jungles of Peru, studying with the shamans. He says that his native Quechua Incan prophecies predicted the white man's coming would bring 500 years of materialism and imbalance. But now they say that era is coming to an end, and the age of Aquarius will signal the return of light to the planet and the dawn of a golden era. We live in a time of the fulfillment of prophecy.
Now he tours the world teaching this simple message. Humanity should cure itself and give help to the poor. Regenerate yourself with light, and then help those who have poverty of the soul. Return to the inner spirit, which we have abandoned while looking elsewhere for happiness.
The Quero are another Peruvian group that are releasing prophecy, travelling to the industrialized nations to hold ceremonies and share their vision of the future.
Humboldt Men tells us of an ancient confederation of Native American elders made up representatives from Nicaragua to the Arctic Circle. They have been meeting for thousands of years and continue to do so today. Before the Spaniards came, the Confederation decided to hide the Mayan teachings, entrusting certain families with their care. Humboldt's Men is an inheritor of that lineage.
In his book, Secrets of Mayan Science, Religion, he reveals teachings that mirror the Hindu and Buddhist ones of astrology, meditation, and the septenary root of creation. He speaks of Kukulkan and Quetzalcoatl not so much in light of an expected return, but rather in terms of the possibility that each of us can attain the same exalted stage by treading the path of attaining knowledge.
Quote, to be Quetzalcoatl or Kukulkan is to know the 7 forces that govern our body. Not only know them, but also use them and understand their intimate relationship with natural and cosmic laws. We must comprehend the long and short cycles and the solar laws that sustain our lives. We must know how to die and how to be born. End quote.
Don Alejandro Oxla is a 7th generation priest from Guatemala and head of the Quiche Maya Elder Council. He has travelled throughout North America, comparing the native prophecies of different tribes. In the coming year, he hopes to record and publish for the first time in 500 years the Mayan prophecies of his people.
What is enlightening in all of these statements is their consistent tone of reconciliation. The native groups are opening their doors to people of every colour, speaking of themselves as rainbow warriors. Their elders have reminded them to remember the original instructions, when each tribe was given by the Creator a mandate to follow.
That mandate has told them that now is the time to heal the past, despite the centuries of pain and persecution. Now is the time to join together and work in harmony to rehabilitate the planet and establish an era of alignment and peace.
Many thanks go to Bette Stockbauer for that enlightening article. You're listening to the World Teacher Program on Wellington's Access Radio 106.1 FM.
Since the inception of Share International magazine, Benjamin Krem's master has provided articles to be published not only at the time they were written, but also whenever appropriate according to world circumstances. This is such a time.
This article comes from the December 2002 issue and is entitled The Destined Path, and begins,
It is becoming increasingly clear that man is ready for a great leap forward. Despite the many tensions and dangers which still exist, and which to many seem increasing, the human kingdom is moving forward and upwards in line with the plan which guides the actions of us all.
The cosmic magnet draws everything towards a planned destination. The energies of the magnet wax in power and cannot be withstood. Man must learn and understand the power and the benefits of cosmos. Thus he will grow correctly with the minimum of suffering.
The light of cosmos shines on man as never before, inspiring him to simplify his life and so regain the connection with the source which, sadly, he has lost. Were men to heed these words, they would soon enter into a state of being altogether new in their long journey to perfection. Time for the old ways is fast running out. The old thinking and acting which cause men so much distress is nearing its end. A new light sheds its beauty over humanity and brings to a conclusion the aberrations of the past.
Thus do we see the future for man as one bathed in the light of the new understanding. Thus do we rejoice at the nearness of the time. Man's long struggle to build the structures which will serve his rightful purposes is almost over. The required forms are already dimly sensed, and soon will break upon his understanding as revelation.
From that moment alone, his progress will astonish all but the watching brothers. We have for long worked towards this end, and wait patiently for its enactment. We know that men's hearts are ready to give form to their loftiest aspirations, to enter willingly into a future as yet unknown, to rectify the mistakes of the past, and to begin again on the long ladder of ascent. We know this to be so, and have confidence in man's capacity to change when needs he must.
This is such a time. Conditions on earth are deteriorating rapidly. The divisions which have dogged men for centuries raise, as ever, their perennial problems. The planet groans under the impact of man's wanton destruction. Men await a sign, an assurance of leadership and guidance, and an opportunity to hope.
The signs for men are everywhere to be seen. The guidance is assured. The reasons for hope are long and constantly offered. That men heed them not results from fear. Blind men are, because they are afraid to see.
When soon Maitreya steps into the centre of man's affairs, making known the reasons for and the solutions to man's problems, they will see that the leadership they yearn for has long been theirs to enjoy. That the time has come to abandon the destructive ways of the past, and that, all unknown, they have within themselves the hope and capacity which will remake this world and set it, once again, balanced and safe, bravely on its destined path.
We'll end our programme today with a short clip from Maitreya's message number 8, as given through Benjamin Creme. The beneficent energies of Maitreya are released at each playing.
My mission is but beginning. Yet already there are the signs of response, of recognition that my advent is nigh. Many there are now throughout the world who feel my presence, who stand open and ready for my teaching. When I make myself known, I shall express the hope of all mankind for a new life, a new start, a readiness to change direction, to see the construction of a new world in which men can live in peace, can live free from fear of themselves or their brothers, free to create from the joy in their hearts, free to be themselves in simple honesty. My task is but beginning. But even now, there exists in men's hearts a new light, a new hope, a sense of a new beginning, a realization that man is not alone. That the protector of all has sent his agent It is that which I am.
And that's our program for today. If you have any questions or would like to know more about the world teacher Maitreya and the Masters of Wisdom, please call us on 06 3646 101 or visit the website share-international.org, where you'll find more information on the various aspects of the emergence.
To inquire about Share International magazine subscriptions, books by Benjamin Creme, or our monthly free of charge newsletter, the number is 04 234 1133, or write to P.O. Box 9576 Wellington.
Thank you for listening to us on Wellington's Access Radio 106.1 FM. And please tune in to our next World Teacher program on Saturday the 14th of May at the usual time of 10 a.m.
You can listen again to this program and previous ones by visiting our website at share-international-nz.info and click on the radio tab.